My mother became a minimalist at 70. I'm tired of all the cleaning and tidying, she told me. Over the years, I've watched her laboriously toil to maintain the household. It's no mean feat, especially as she's gotten older. I've also watched, in the decades since she adopted minimalism, how much more at ease she is. Less to clean, less to tidy, less strain on her now 80-year-old brain. More money in the bank to pay for the extraordinary cost of old age. Call it minimalism, or something with fewer negative connotations like simple living. It stands to reason that women would be the ones who most benefit from owning less stuff and simplifying their lives. After all, in heterosexual relationships, it's still women who take on the lion's share of household management. Minimalism is by no means a silver bullet. Equal division of household labour isn't going to be achieved by owning a smaller house or fewer books. But minimalism in its purest, least negative form can be a quiet rebellion against the world that says more is better, bigger is better, busier is better. And it turns out this is most important for married women in heterosexual partnerships. One study truly blew my mind as to how this plays out in real life. In a study of more than 23,000 mothers, it found that single and divorced mothers do less household labour, sleep better, and have more leisure time than their married counterparts. This is despite spending no fewer hours on childcare. Although the study couldn't definitively explain why this is, the favourite conclusion was that married women are more likely to play the role of wife, prioritising domestic labour above time for themselves. Psychology Today concluded that these women were doing gender, which is where people act in accordance with gendered societal expectations. This is a little bit embarrassing to admit for me, but when I got married at the tender age of 24, well before I questioned the expectations set out for me by the world, I remember going full wife mode. I felt part of this new club with its rules and expectations. I became more homely than I really was. I googled houses in the suburbs to rent. I bought more homewares than I should have had any business doing. I cooked more, although I love cooking, so that's not too much of a problem. I could have benefited, however, from the tenets of minimalism back then, accumulating stuff as quickly as I was. I could have benefited from understanding that just because I got married didn't mean I had to do gender. I have to mention here that I am aware minimalism conjures up all sorts of negative images. Spartan homes, white walls, someone who owns very few items. This hasn't done the movement any favours. But take out the negative connotations and you're left with some concepts that could benefit women immensely, especially as the data shows married women. Put another way, if women take on the majority of household management, as we know they do, less clutter, a simplified kitchen setup, and a smaller house means less to tidy up, less time in the kitchen, and fewer square feet to clean. It's no wonder more women than men want to become a minimalist, 30% of women compared to men's 22%. And that's no small number. It's also no surprise when you look at how women in heterosexual partnerships' lives play out compared to their male partners. The European Institute for Gender Equality found that employed women in heterosexual partnerships spend around 44% more time per day on household chores than men. When children become involved, that gap widens even further, with 91% of women spending at least an hour a day on housework, compared to 30% of men. These women are toiling. Household management is no joke. It's exhausting and it's never, ever ending. It's not just the chores, it's the stuff itself. The University of California looked into why women are typically more concerned about clutter and mess than men. Their study showed people a picture of a living space and randomly told them it belonged to John or Jennifer. Participants were asked to rate John or Jennifer's character and likability based on the amount of mess in the picture. They were also asked the extent to which they thought John or Jennifer would be judged by unexpected visitors. The result was not entirely surprising. Respondents held higher standards of cleanliness for Jennifer than they did for John. When they were told the tidy room belonged to Jennifer, participants, regardless of gender, judged it less clean and more likely to inspire disapproving reactions from guests than when the exact same room was said to be John's. In other words, women are judged more harshly than men for the way they keep their home. Another study corroborated this by looking at cortisol levels between partnered women who have stressful homes, largely defined by clutter, and restorative homes. Women with stressful homes demonstrated higher cortisol levels associated with adverse health outcomes than those in restorative homes. Notably, these cortisol spikes were higher in women than they were in their male partners. I've practiced, for want of a better word, minimalism in one form or another for about a decade. I've gone extreme, selling everything I own for a life on the road, and I've gone with a little bit more as I do nowadays, as you can see. The reason I live with less is for various reasons. Some are lofty, like wanting a small ecological footprint. Some are principled, like refusing to line the pockets of retail giants any more than I have to. Some are less lofty, like I hate cleaning, and I can't afford anything bigger than a one-bedroom apartment in the city I live in anyway. I have first-hand experience of what living with a little bit less can do to your peace of mind, about what spending intentionally can do for your finances. And if you are married and a little bit rebellious, what a thrill it is to live a life which is very different from the one expected of you. And I love that. No, there is no ultimate solution here. Minimalism will not solve the gender gap in household labour and mental load. It will not solve all arguments over household responsibilities, although it could help. You can only reduce your stuff so much. You can only simplify your diary as far as you can. Kids need stuff. You need stuff. But in the world we live in right now, anything that promotes a calmer, easier, less consumerist-driven lifestyle is not to be sniffed at. And anything that is a rebellion against how women are supposed to act, women be shopping and all that, is no bad thing. This goes for everyone, but if the data is to be believed, it goes double for married women in heterosexual relationships. Just ask my mother.